They went through a lot of hardships, 3 to 4 months to come on a ship, you know, to Canada. There was no planes in those days, so they went through a lot. They were laborers, many of them were laborers, and they worked so hard.
They lived in tents, and they didn't have any running water or anything. And some of them didn't even know how to read and write, and they'd walk miles to get their letters written.
And most of the people that were here, especially men, there were not that many women in the beginning. It was to, you know, better their families in India also.
There was one room school, one teacher, and about 15 kids in the school, all the way from grade 1 to grade 10.
There was no running water. He would have to go to the well and bring in running water.
You didn't have telephones, you didn't have stoves, you didn't have radios.
They used to have to get blocks of ice and put milk on the sides. We were fortunate enough that my dad had a refrigerator, but so many of the other families didn't.
An orange crate was made out of wood, of course, and they just used that as a little table, and they had 2 plates and forks and spoons. It sounds sparse, but that's how life started.
And we were very happy. I don't think we really needed or wanted to know anything else. It was our little world, and we were very happy in it.
Most of them didn't go back because if they went back somehow and then they didn't have the assurance that they would come back here again, then they wouldn't be able to.
Problem in our community seemed to be around getting jobs and so on. There were jobs that were hard to come by.
He started in the lumber mill, yes. I think everybody did. He used to say that they worked for 6 cents an hour.
We were just coming out of the Depression, and so there was a lot of concern about getting jobs, holding on to jobs.
I always had a job at summertime, and that pretty well paid for my education.
The 30s, the 40s, and the 50s were a very hard time for those people, and they did struggle, but they were for the rights, the immigration rights, the quota rights. All those had to come in because there was no fiancés allowed, there wasn't any women allowed in the early days.
When he left India, I had 2 sisters in India. One was 2 years old and one was 2 months old when he left. And then 20 years later, he was able to bring my mom, and they couldn't come because they were married by then. So he never did get to see those girls again.
We didn't wear other clothing other than Western clothing. Our forefathers, our mothers, on the mother's side, and the men were dressed just like any other person, except for the turban, and if they didn't wear a turban, they were still smartly dressed. It was something that they were proud to be Canadians, to be in Canada, and proud to be Indian, but at the same time, they were proud to be in this country.
They wanted to adjust. They wanted to feel at home here. And so the thing was, there are few of us, there are lots of them, let's be more like them so we're accepted.
Temples were started, schools were started, but what kept them together was that bond. I think they came to a country, they were proud to be here.
You always felt loved and wanted and secure in that knowledge.
If my grandfather said, look, we as a community are going to get together and I'm taking 4 men, we're going to go to Ottawa, we're going to sit there for as many months as it takes on the doorsteps of the immigration offices, we're going to sit there. And they did.
I think getting the vote was one big thing, because they were not allowed to vote.
My dad's picture was in the front of the paper, and he was the first Indian to vote in 1947.
Yes, it was a sort of a pivotal point when we felt safe here.
Those kind of stories used to really make me think, you know, what these people had gone through so we could all enjoy all these fruits that we are all enjoying of this lovely country.
Open your eyes and talk to the old people and appreciate them, because they have done a fair amount for you.
If it wasn't for them, their struggles and how they lived, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's thanks to them that we're successful, and this country is successful.
You can't sit there and think about the background. I mean, you're going to be a failure. You got to carry on.
Canada is the best country in the world. I just love this country, and you have to learn to live here and be successful in this country, because this is your country.
I think thank you isn't even a big enough word for that. I think that we're just proud of what they've done. Proud. We have that pride in them. We had that pride in them.